Well, this is just a little short feeding video of my baby box turtles. They're now 8 months old. They hatched last September, and I've been keeping them inside the house and giving them a nice warm place to sunbathe. And these are sort of a hybrid of three-toed box turtles and ornate box turtles. And since the last video, I'm afraid one of them flipped over and was could not right itself, and it died. So instead of 12, I'm down to 11 baby box turtles now. They're doing real good. None of them are flipping over. Shells look like they're growing very nicely. This method that they almost present the food to the other turtles to help them tear it apart is an interesting feeding behavior. That's starting to be what I think is actually part of normal feeding. If you see a piece of food in another turtle's mouth, if you bite on it, it gives something real substantial to hold that piece of food, and you might be able to get a small portion of it off. With mealworms, there's not much need for two of these great big turtles to tear into. Now what they're feeding on is fillet of carp, mealworms, and then I've sprinkled it with crushed oyster shell. One of the turtles hasn't grown very much at all since it was hatched. Well, it hasn't kept up with the other turtles as far as size goes. That one back in the corner there is slightly larger, but this little guy here is healthy, but he just doesn't seem to grow quickly. So if you have box turtles and you notice that some of them don't grow as quickly as others, it's probably normal, you know. But I had one box turtle that I raised from a baby that called it Big Guy, and that turtle, when I put her out into the enclosure, she just continued eating, just like she did when she was a baby, and growing. And Big Guy turned into a box turtle that was actually bigger than her own mother, Ornetta. And sometimes you can tell a lot from a turtle. You see it with its siblings. Probably the same thing is true about any particular litters of animals, dogs or cats. You know, if you see them all together, you can see which one is going to be, after they've been together for a while, which one is going to be king. I cut the carp fillet up into very small pieces so it would be really easy for them to eat it. Some of that crunching sound that you hear is the oyster shell. That helps their beaks be trimmed, and so that there's never any overgrown beak problem with any of my turtles, because I present them with oyster shell. And then also, I keep them out in the outside enclosure where things are much more natural, and they can keep their beaks trimmed down normally. I think that when you keep your box turtle inside all the time and don't give it enough things to chew on, that can trim their beaks down naturally. You end up with a beak overgrowth that almost needs to be trimmed. Well, it does need to be trimmed, I think. It's just not normal for box turtles to have overgrown beaks. Well, I hope you enjoyed this little this video. If you have any questions about raising box turtles or incubation of box turtle eggs or just about anything, you can ask me. I'm not an expert. I've just been doing it for, must be 12 years now. Young box turtles are fun, but so are the adults. In a kind of laid-back kind of way. They're not the kind of animal that you get to hold and cuddle. They're reptiles, and they like their freedom. Even though I keep them in captivity, they are not really captive, domesticated animals. They're a wild creature. They know what I'm doing around them. They know that I feed them, and that sort of thing. But I just can't get over the shell on that turtle. That was really pretty. Of course, they're all really pretty.